Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Learn With Me stream. My name is Ashley. I work for NVIDIA as a connection evangelist for Omniverse. And this stream is called the Learn With Me stream. So basically what I do is I go through Omniverse, I explore workflows and tools and see how I can accelerate what I'm trying to do using those methods and what tools might need to be created in order to help accelerate it. So with that said, because it's a Learn With Me stream, if you see me struggling and you have an idea of how I can fix it, feel free to chat along, give me some advice, and we'll work together. That's the awesome thing about the NVIDIA Omniverse community is that everyone is so willing to help everybody out, and that's what I highlight the most. So today is Wednesday, March 15th. We have 1 week left, not even a full week. We have 4 days until GTC. So as usual, the GTC housekeeping, I have this document that I post at the top of my streams. Let me post that in there. Has all of these links. Oh no, it wants me to reload. Has all these links for you to sign up to GTC, check out the curated catalog, see the courses that I'm going to be a part of, and a panel I'm also going to be a part of. So let me go over that real quick so you are all caught up because this starts on Monday, March 20th, and then goes until March 23rd. And the keynote is on March 21st on Tuesday. So first thing, sign up. Second thing, check out the curated catalog that Amelia posted to the forums. This is not all of the Omniverse sessions. This is just some recommended sessions for different topics like generative AI, digital twins, synthetic data generation, sessions for creators and developers, and even enterprise sessions. So you'll want to check all of this out and get yourself started. All you have to do is click on the links and it'll bring you straight to the session so you can add it to your schedule. The ones that I'm a part of specifically, that's in that Google Doc. I am a TA in the fundamentals of universal scene description. So I will be supporting and assisting Jen and Maddie as they go through this DLI training lab. And this is on a virtual machine. So that means you can do this on any computer you want. You got a Mac? You can join. You have a GTX GPU, you can join. You have Linux, you can join. It's all on a virtual machine, but it's 100 seats. So you have to make sure that you are one of the first 100 people to get in because it's a VM. It is limited seating. So you make sure that you add it to your schedule, get reminded, and join the live session, or you'll have to watch the recorded session and do it on your own off a virtual machine. So the one that I am teaching specifically is the how to build custom 3D scene manipulator extension. So if you are new to building tools, even if you have never touched Python before, you have some coding experience, you fit right into this. This is 60 seats. It's on the VM. And I'll be guiding you through the DLI training lab. You'll have time to work on your own. It's a 2-hour session on March 20th. So this is upcoming Monday. It's happening soon. And you want to make sure you are one of the first 60 people to get in to do the VM. And then the very last thing that I am a part of is connect with the experts in AR and VR. So if you have questions about technical art or anything in XR, including Omniverse, join this panel. It's about an hour long on Wednesday, March 22nd. It is not limited seating, but there are going to be breakout rooms. So if you want to join the live session, you'll have the opportunity to jump into a room with any of these experts here at NVIDIA and ask your questions about XR. I'm going to be focusing on technical art, so a lot of what I do here in the stream, but in XR. So I will be showing a demo on what I've created, and if you have questions about how to get yourself started, then you'll want to join that. And I think that's it. So much with GTC, so much more than just these, so check out the whole catalog and see what you want to add to your schedule. And then before I get started today, I want to remind everyone that what I've been doing here on Learn With Me is on GitHub. There's a link to this in the description of the video. You can check out the previously recorded streams in the playlist I've created as well, grabbing that link from the GitHub, which will bring you here. I've created this on YouTube. So all of the ones that I've done here are on the official channels. And yeah, there you go. So you can catch up and see what you've missed. If you haven't been watching the most recent ones, they are on there. And let's get started. Since today is Wednesday, there is a community stream. It's about a workflow in Blender, and that starts here in less than an hour. So this stream will be a little bit shorter than normal, just so I can get off in time for them to get on. If you have an IBM personal computer, you cannot join. What is an IBM personal computer? I have never heard of that before, Jen. IBM personal computer. All right, so sorry if you have one of those, you can't join the VM. I didn't even know what that was. My bad. Still don't know what it is. Okay, so this is what we've been working in. This beautiful conveyor belt warehouse with my capsule character. I started off in Unreal Engine exploring the connector, moved to Isaacson to create the conveyor belt. Those are all in past streams. Let's make this a little bit bigger so you can see. Yes, I agree with you. IBM, the personal computer, sounds like something from the past. It runs off floppy disks? Please don't tell me people still have this. A floppy disk. Do people still... My bad. I hit the button on my mouse and it brought me backward. Oopsie daisies. Okay. This is dumb mouse. That was funny. I freaked myself out. Okay, let's share my screen. Get myself back up there. Yeah, my mind was so blown that I like got thrown off the stream. I couldn't handle it anymore. I had to leave. The floppy disk, the save icon, exactly. Floppy disk, the save icon. That's what I used to tell my students when I would show them the save icon. I'd be like, "That's actually called a floppy disk," and then that was a real thing. So, yeah. Okay. We are not going to be working in this today. So last stream, I got my script working after, oh my gosh, what a headache that was. If you were there for that, you know. And when I would press play, I have a Python script attached to the palette that collects packages. So if I have lots of packages that fall into the palette, every time it makes a collision with the actual palette, it will mark how many boxes have made that collision. So I don't want to mess with this today. I'm so happy that I got that working. So we're going to actually do something a little bit different. Same idea, but we're going to actually use Action Graph. You guys know that I love visual scripting. So we're going to try to basically do what that Python script did, but in Action Graph itself. But I don't want to mess with this. So let's go ahead and just create a new scene. We'll call this palette collection. And we'll say OG for Action Graph or Omnigraph. Omnigraph is like the parent name of Action Graph, Push Graph, and Lazy Graph. So that when you hear Omnigraph, that's what it means. And let's open that up. We're gonna save, I guess. Oh wait! Before we do that, I wanted to show you guys something. So the past few streams, every time I would press play, my camera would like fly off the screen. And make this nice and big so you can see. And I'm gonna show you why it was doing that. It was so weird and I couldn't figure it out. I figured it out right before I started today. So in my viewport UI graph, I have the stack. The stack tells how the UI button lays on top of the screen in which direction. And I had it in back to front. And when I had it in back to front, it was pushing. See, it pushes the graph. It pushes the viewport, and like it pushes the viewport forward. But if I did front to back, it did the same thing. It messes with the viewport. So when I move it top to bottom, it doesn't do that. So note, if you are using a viewport button in scripted mode, the stack must be top to bottom so that it doesn't mess with the viewport. Figured that out, wanted to share it. Okay. Let's go ahead and go here. Oh, save. Yes. All right. So first thing I want to do is create a ground plane. So physics ground plane. And let's do a nice little environment. Let's do the exhibition hall. Does the exhibition hall come with its own ground plane? Is that why? Ground. I think so. Where's the background? Maybe it's loading. I like the way that looks. I like the light to it. Maybe it'll load eventually. Looks, sky. You know, nothing ever goes as planned in a live stream. I could do this off stream and it works just fine. But if I do this on the stream, it's like Omniverse knows. I'm gonna reload it. There we go. That's what I was looking for. This thingy. And it's like loading at the bottom. Maybe I didn't click it right. I have like double plane. What if I remove that one? Yeah. All right. So while the background loads or not loads, whatever, I'm going to pull a palette in from the NVIDIA assets just to prepare my scene. Let's do this one. Press F to focus on it. And let's find a package. I'm going to use one with physics, so that has that pink outline. It says with physics, so that I don't have to add a rigid body or a collider to it. It's already there. Cool. Oops, let's move that. I'm also going to put it at 0, 0, 0, and we'll put my box at 0, 0, 0. So that when I move my package up, I know that they're all in the same spot. Okay. Oh, Jen, good question. What about bottom to top? I didn't try it, but maybe it would still work because it's not forcing the button to move back or front. So in theory, it should, but y'all should test it and see if that messes with the stack or messes with the viewport. And then good question from Ben. I'm still new to Create. Why would you use a push or lazy graph over an action graph? Great question. I get that one a lot and I had to learn it myself. So an action graph has to be told when to start, either like on tick or on USD change or on playback tick, on a stage event, whereas a push graph happens as soon as the timeline begins, and a lazy graph is at a interval of a timeline that you define. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so now let's create an action graph. Oh wait, I made it really easy for myself to have that button all the time. So I moved that action graph that holds the button UI stuff into its own USD. So now I can just like drag it into any new USD I create and it loads it in as a payload. And then I can open that action graph and then just plug in my new targets. So the palette, because it doesn't have a script on it, creating that collected attribute, I have to create it myself. So we'll do that. Name it collected. It is an int. We'll add it. Just confirm in the raw USD properties. There it is. Okay, so make sure that on that USD object change that we're telling the button to read is that palette that we created that attribute. that switch on token so it's basically going through all the attributes of the prim target and looking for this. And then when the collected attribute changes, that's when the button reads it. So let's make sure that the read prim, remember we're plugging this into the text of our button, and the text is a string, but our attribute is an integer. So we need to convert the integer to a string so the button can read it and display that. So make sure that we have this connected properly. So add the target, that is the palette, and make sure the attribute name is collected, which will convert to a string, and our button. So let's press play, just make sure it's there. There you go. Oh, look, our box fell through the thing because our palette does not have a rigid body. Let's try that again. Cool. So right now it's not registering that the box has hit the palette because we do not have the script on it that we created from last stream. We're going to be doing that in Action Graph today. It might be a little buggy, so let's just see what we can get done for today. Let's press pause. We're going to create a new Action Graph. Create by right-clicking in the stage. Visual scripting. Go to Action Graph. Let's call this one counter. Yeah, because I named the stream create a counter, so this will be counter. So let's edit that. And basically what I believe I'm going to be doing is measuring the distance between the palette and the box. And if the distance is small enough, then it will add to that collection attribute, right? So, there is, ideally I would like to use the physics graph. I'm going to show you what I mean. But just doing some tests offline, I did not spell that right. The physics graph, which has to be turned on. Oh, I already have mine turned on because I have it auto-loaded. You have to make sure you go into extensions, physics, graph, enable, auto-load, all that good stuff. And there is a node called overlap, and it does check if any collider has made an overlap with the prim, and it works. It does tell me if there's anything overlapping, but I'm having trouble figuring out like how to check if it's just the box that's overlapping there. So if we just type in overlap, there is like a difference between any and all. See, the one that says any checks any colliders overlap. Check all. So this one just says like yes or no. This one, like this is a bool. And then this one, the one that says all, it tells you all of the prim paths. So for a longer stream, since this one's a little bit shorter today because the community stream, I'm not going to be using these because I feel like it's going to take a long time for me to figure out how to pull out just the prim path that we're looking for and basically create like an if statement. Like if the package is in that overlap all, then do this. Today I'm just going to create a counter because I kind of already know how to do that, and then we'll go from there. So that'll be for another stream, but I just want to share that that's there because it is pretty cool and you might want to check it out yourself. But today I'm just going to be creating that counter, So first I need to grab the palette. I'm reading the palette and I want to read the translation of the palette. So the XForm OP translate so that I can check for distance, and the same thing with the box. I'm going to read these. XForm OP translate. Let's go to visual scripting so you guys can see this. Hopefully that's better for you to read. Okay, so my attribute is the translate for both my palette and my box. And what I need to do is basically grab that translation as a value. So we're going to use the node. There should be a translation node. Hit translation. We're going to do that for both of these. So we just want to grab just that. So let's duplicate it, Control D. And we're going to plug both of these in. It says no. Why? Oh, because that's not what I want. I want to, yes, I do want to like get the translation of these prims, but not through reprim. I want to get it by grabbing its local to world. This is what I'm looking for. And I want to do that for both prim. So I'm going to use this node. And I'm going to make sure that I'm grabbing the palette. And when I use this, I've discovered that it only works if you copy the input prim path, so Control C, and paste it here. This is just a relationship, but this is the actual input. It doesn't autofill it for you. And then do the same thing with the box. Oop, Control A for all, Control C, and Control V. All right, so I'm local to world transform, grabbing the translation of both the palette and the box. And then I want to measure the distance between them. Oh, great questions. Yeah, how do we pop up quick search? Tab. Sometimes when you first open an action graph, you can press tab like 2 or 3 times and it might not open. There's a little lag the first time you do it. But after that, every time you press tab, it works really well. So thanks, Zia. I always forget to say that out loud. So this one, we want to measure the distance between them. So we're going to grab this. It computes the distance between 2 points, and then it tells you what the distance is, the length of the vector with start and end points. So we're going to use this. And palette is our A. Package is our B. That just grabs the distance between it. Now we want to say like if there is a certain distance. So we're going to use the compare node to do that. So let's do distance is A. Now this took me a little bit to figure out when I was doing some test. Is like, how do I tell it? I thought it was like, I guess you could do this. It could be a custom variable that you call, we would maybe like call this like distance. And then it would be a double. So there's a couple of ways you could do this. And then you want to say like how many centimeters apart is it going to be? Maybe like, I want it to be really close. So like 5 or 10, maybe do like 10. And then you could pull this out and read it. And you could plug that in. Or you can use a constant double. It works the same. You just don't have it like a custom name. But this does the same thing. So we can set that to 10. Or whatever you want to do. We'll let that hang out. So we have translation of the palette and the package. We grabbed the distance between those two. We're going to compare it. So is the distance right now it says greater than 10. And if it is, then it will be marked true. But we don't want to do greater than because, of course, it's greater than. It's going to be above it. So we want to do less than. So hopefully you remember your operation symbols. I remember being in school and having such trouble with that. And this is how I taught it to my students, because we actually did have to use it in art. Think of it as like an alligator. This might help people remember. You have the alligator wanting to eat the biggest meal. So it's going to be pointing to the alligator, and the alligator, this is the alligator's mouth, and it's eating the biggest. So you have the number is less than, I'm explaining it poorly. Oh my goodness. Think of it as alligator mouth. Alligator wants to eat the biggest number. So no, it's opposite. What am I saying? The alligator is going to be eating the meal it can eat, which is the smallest number. So it's going to be pointing to the gator, which is pointing to the biggest number. Wow, that was such a mouthful for me to say. Can you tell I have not taught in a year? It's been a bit. So alligator pointing to the biggest number, eating the smallest meal. So this is less than. Tongue twister. Yeah. I was trying to remember how I explained it, and I forgot. All right, so comparing, it's less than 10, which will result in true. And then we want to write to the prim that we want to change. And that is going to be the palette. So we're writing. And we are changing the collected attribute. But we can't like plug this in anywhere, right? It doesn't, it's a bool. And so we have to actually use a branch node. Woo! I'm going too quick. And the branch allows us to plug this bool into the condition bool and then say, if it's true, then you execute that. But this is an action graph. So just like I was explaining before, because it's an action graph, it doesn't get called until we tell it to get called. I want this to happen all the time. So we're going to use on tick. It's a regular, so this executes pulses at a regular multiple of the refresh rate. So basically as the timeline plays. So we will plug that into the branch. Oops. So it will execute the branch. And then the branch will fire into the collected attribute if the compare statement is true. And it will do nothing if it's false. Now, if we press play, we can watch to see if the condition becomes true. And I know it's super hard to see on the stream, but that condition box has a darker gray check mark inside of it. And so that condition is true, but the value didn't change because we haven't told it to change. So yes, the box is less than, because this is pointing to the bigger number and the alligator is eating the smaller meal or smaller than itself. And we need it to now write to that attribute with a value. So we could, the collected attribute is an int, an integer. So we could do like constant int, but we can't, or maybe we could. No, because it would write to it. So if I was just to say like 1, it turns the value to 1, but it doesn't. I mean, if we have multiple boxes, we don't want it to just be 1. So if you remember when we were doing Alberto had that camera constraint action graph, and in his action graph, he used increments in order to add to the X, Y, and Z value of the constraint for the camera. And so I had that idea of using the increment node to add increments of 1 to that value. So let's try that. Zia says, does a tick correlate 1-to-1 to a change in the delta of the playhead? I'm not sure if someone else can answer that question. I don't know what that means for sure. The way that it works is that it's being simulated on play, and it's happening in the frame rate that we have. So as long as the play is happening, then it is working. It is counting it. All right, so let's use, increment. So it adds a double argument to any type. This includes simple values, tuples, arrays, and arrays of tuples. And it says the output type is always the same as the type of input value. All right, so basically it will add in increments of whatever this integer is. Let's right click, disconnect, find that increment again. And we have the value of 1 will be our increment amount. And we want to read the value of the attribute. So now we will pull in the palette and read it. But make sure we change the attribute to collected. So now it has an output value. Plug this into here. And now our result is an int, and the value is an int. So they're compatible. And plug that right in. We can see the value remains 0. And then when the branch is set to true, it will execute this here, this little branch part, when it's true. Jen said in response to Zia's question before, if your frame rate per second is 30, then tick runs 30 times. Not sure if that answers it. I think it does. It's a good explanation. Thanks, Jen. Okay. All right, let's press play and see what it does. Or stop first. Now press play. Okay. It's working, if you can see, but it does not stop counting. When does it stop? I think it just keeps going because it's continuing to be true. So this is the part that I'm like stuck on. I did a little test yesterday to make sure this worked, and I was like, oh cool, it does. But the part that's like the learn with me part is, how do I tell it, okay, it's made contact, stop counting? So that's where we got to figure out the next step. Let's stop counting for 1. And in our compare, yeah, I don't even know where to go from here. This one is not, oh, maybe we just do the is equal to. So the double equal sign is like is equal. The exclamation point and the equal sign means is not equal. So is equal. Let's make our integer or our double smaller. Let's do 2. So like really close together. But I guess it would still keep counting though, right? Because we haven't reset the counter. How do we let's go to our palette, go to its property, and maybe we have to manually reset it for now. So, oh, it didn't set it. Did I have to press enter? Nope, it's 0. It didn't like reset the thing. No, now it did. Okay. Press play. The condition is not true. Maybe 2 is too small. They're like touching each other. It should be true. What about 3? Nope. What about 5? Nope. What about 10? Nope. So using that compare does, oh. Of course it's true. Let's do is greater than. Not true. What distances am I comparing? I'm comparing the distance between the package and the palette. Let's stop this. Oh, ZS reminded me, don't forget to save. Good point. So, right, this is the double equals is equal to, and then the exclamation point is not equal to. So of course that works because they are not equal to 10. I don't think it's the compare thing. I think I'm going to keep it at the alligator pointing to the big guy and eating the small guy. So if it's less than 10, then it's true. I don't think that's the part I have to mess around with. There needs to be like a check, like, all right, it's already made contact. And that might be where the overlap comes in. So, and I need to find a way to keep resetting this attribute back to 0 when playback stops. So let's click that again to make sure it's reading 0. Just keep saving. My distance 3D is always giving me 0? No. It's grabbing the distance between them depending on where they are on playback. So that's what Jen asked. Right now, the distance between them, it's not. Yeah, it's grabbing its translation. The distance between their outputs. It just says input A. So I guess it's this. It's reading this. And then the distance between them and then comparing that. Is that distance 10? Yeah, for some reason it's not outputting. It doesn't show it. But even so, say I move the box up here. Oh yeah, look. It doesn't matter because it is not grabbing the input. That's a good catch, Jen. Let's pause it. All right. How do I fix that? Getting the translation, grab the distance, compare it. This might have to be for after GTC. Maybe it's not on tick that I use. No, tick should work. There should, yeah. What if we use An if statement. I'm pretty sure there's ifs. We can use if statements. If this one has if selects an output from the given input based on a Boolean condition. Let's click it. What's it look like? The condition, and then if true. What are other ones that we can... What's flow control have? We have a for loop. We have a once. What's scene graph have? The problem is that for some reason it's not grabbing the distance between them. See, even when I press play, it's on pause. There's no input coming from these two. That's the problem I think we're running into, because it seems to be counting all the time, even before the box. So okay, let's stop it again because it's running super slow because the counter just wants to keep updating. So let's move this all the way up here. That's definitely greater than 10. Where is right? I said 10. Yeah, 10. And it's still resulting as true, even though it's greater than 10, because the input is not correct. For Omnigraph branches if. Like this one, Jen? Do you mean that one? Because I didn't see if. Like I just type in if, and I did not see that. I just see selects if. Oh, I got to get off here soon, so we'll have to probably put a pause on this. So after GTC, the goal for this action graph now is going to be, for one, fixing this problem of our compare input not grabbing the distance between these. See what's going on with that. I probably will have to do some testing off stream and see if I can get a solution. And then creating an if statement, possibly using this one, so that it will only update. We might have to use that, you know, that on USD change that we are using in our viewport UI, right? And so it only updates. No, that wouldn't be right, because it's still, we just have to check for the collider. So actually probably have to use that overlap, and we would grab like any, and then this would tell us all of the prim paths that are overlapping with our palette, and then check if the package is in that. Oh, it feels really complicated, but I'm bet you once we figure it out, we'll see how easy it is. So on that note, it is 12 till the next stream. So I want to give Edmar, Wendy, and everyone else joining that stream time to get on and get their stuff going. So I will not be streaming next week because it's GTC. I want you guys to join my stuff, join Jen's stuff, watch all the sessions you want to watch, catch up on the ones that are being recorded and you cannot get to in time. Add all your stuff to your GTC schedule. And then the week after that, we will go ahead and move back into this and see if we can get it started. I will add this test scene to the GitHub as well, so that you can play around with it in the meantime if you want to. And yeah, we'll go from there. So thanks for watching. Always fun to do these Learn With Me's, and I appreciate you guys participating and bearing with me as I struggle through it. So yeah, have a good day. Bye, everybody.